A scream rips through the silence, a raw, guttural sound echoing in the hollow room. It's not a cry of pain, but of terror, a primal fear that seems to shake the walls. For a moment, everything stills. The only sound that remains is the harsh rasp of breathing. A woman, no older than 30, stands frozen in the center of her living room. Her clothes, once neat, now hang from her frame, torn and stained. Her eyes are wide, filled with disbelief, as she stares at the object in her hands. It's a letter. A letter with her handwriting on it, yet the date is 10 years in the future. Her breath catches in her throat. Her fingers tremble as she grips the paper tighter, as if the answer to everything lies in the folds of that note. She struggles to breathe as the weight of the impossible reality settles on her shoulders. This isn't possible. How? Her voice is barely a whisper, a desperate question that no one can answer. She blinks rapidly, trying to convince herself that the ink isn't bleeding, that the numbers on the paper aren't shifting. But they are. Her heart races as she collapses against the wall, the letter held tight to her chest, her mind racing. How is this even real? How can this be from her? The clock ticks loudly in the background, but it feels irrelevant now. Time has lost its meaning. The woman sits at her kitchen table, the letter placed carefully in front of her. Her eyes scan the paper once again, looking for any detail, any clue that could explain how this was possible. It feels like the world around her has shifted, as if she no longer belongs to the life she's known. The letter, the ink, the handwriting, everything about it seems real, too real to be a hallucination. Her hand trembles as she runs her fingers over the edges, as if expecting it to disappear. I've been living in this world, thinking I had control, she murmurs, her voice almost a whisper, the weight of her discovery heavy in her chest. But this letter, it's a reminder that I'm not in control. None of us are. Time doesn't bend to our will. She stares at the clock on the wall, ticking relentlessly, reminding her that time is slipping away. The seconds seem louder now, as if mocking her inability to understand. She doesn't know what's coming, but it's as if the letter is the key to something much bigger. What do I do now? What happens next? She picks up the letter again, turning it over as if expecting it to give her some sign, some guidance. But there's nothing, just the date. The year. The future. The woman can't shake the feeling that someone is watching her. She rises from the table, feeling as though every inch of her apartment is closing in on her. She walks toward the window, staring out into the city below. The streets are empty, a quiet calm settling over the neighborhood as the sun begins to set. It's just me now, she says softly, her reflection in the glass the only company she has. I'm alone in this. The apartment feels colder as the night begins to creep in. The weight of the letter in her hands becomes more pronounced, heavier with each passing moment. She can't escape the nagging thought that the answers are out there somewhere. But where? The city beneath her is still, unaware of the storm that's about to hit. Her eyes drift to the clock again, its tick-tock almost deafening now. What do I do with you? She whispers, turning back to the letter. It seems to pulse with a life of its own, as if waiting for her to make a decision. She paces back and forth, the letter still in her hands, her mind racing. How did this letter end up in her hands? Who else knew about this? She can't shake the feeling that someone is out there, someone who knows more than they're letting on. She stops in her tracks, staring at the door to her apartment. She hears nothing, but the silence feels oppressive, like something is waiting on the other side. The world outside her apartment is dark, cold, and unfamiliar. But she can't ignore the pull to find out what happens next, to uncover the truth hidden in that letter. She looks down at the paper again, the date staring back at her like a warning. I'm not ready for this, she mutters, but she knows she has no choice. She must uncover the secret or risk losing everything. Her fingers trace the edges of the letter again, the smooth paper feeling like an anchor in the storm of her thoughts. The woman feels like she's standing on the edge of a precipice, the world as she knows it about to unravel. The truth is within her grasp, yet it feels so far away. She wonders if she should just leave it all behind, to walk away and forget. But she knows she can't. The letter is her only connection to whatever is happening, and she feels the pull deep within her chest. "I can't run," she says, her voice steady now, though her heart beats wildly in her chest. "I have to know. I have to know why this letter exists." The woman stares at the letter again, her heart racing as she attempts to decipher its meaning. The paper feels heavier in her hands, a burden she cannot shake off. She places it on the kitchen counter, eyes darting nervously toward the door. She hasn't seen anyone since the night she found it, yet she feels a constant, nagging presence just beyond her sight. "This is impossible," she mutters to herself, pacing in circles. "How could I know something about my future?" Her breath catches as she thinks of all the things she's missed, all the moments where she had no idea the path she was walking on. What if the letter is real? What if everything it says is true? She picks it up again, reading the same words as though they've changed. 10 years? 10 years from now? She trails off, feeling the tension in her neck as she rubs her hands over her face. She thought she had control over her life, but now, she's trapped in a reality that doesn't make sense. Every time she looks at the letter, it feels as though it's whispering something to her, something she can't yet understand. "What happens next?" she asks aloud, her voice trembling. As the clock on the wall ticks, time seems to slow, and she is left in the suffocating stillness of the unknown. Hours pass in a blur, and the woman finally steps outside for a walk. She needs fresh air. The streets are quieter than usual, with only the occasional car passing by. The city, which she once found comforting, now seems alien to her. She wraps her coat tighter, hugging herself as if trying to keep the world at bay. "Everything feels different," she whispers under her breath, her footsteps echoing on the pavement. She passes familiar places, the coffee shop, the bookstore, but they all seem far away now, like memories she can't quite reach. The weight of the letter presses on her chest, and with each step, she feels the pressure mount. "Is this what I've been waiting for?" she wonders aloud, her voice lost in the bustle of the street. The wind picks up, swirling leaves around her feet. A distant memory of a conversation she had years ago surfaces. Someone once said to her, "You can't outrun your fate." She never believed it then, but now, standing on the edge of the city, she wonders if fate has already caught up with her. Back at her apartment, the woman stands by the window, staring out at the sprawling city. The streets below are quiet, but her mind is a whirlwind. She feels as though she's on the edge of something, but the final piece of the puzzle is still out of reach. "Why me?" she asks, her voice soft, almost a whisper. "Why was I chosen for this letter?" Her reflection in the glass shows a woman on the verge of breaking, but she doesn't want to admit it. The thought that someone could have orchestrated this fills her with dread. The idea of being controlled, of knowing what will happen before it happens, makes her feel powerless. "What if I'm not supposed to know this?" she wonders aloud, her fingers lightly brushing against the window pane. The cold glass doesn't offer comfort, but it's the only thing she can focus on right now. She takes a deep breath, but it doesn't settle the turmoil inside her. The feeling of being watched has intensified, and she turns around quickly, her eyes darting to the corners of the room. There's nothing there, but she's not sure how much longer she can keep pretending everything is normal. The silence is broken by a knock at the door. She jumps, startled, her heart racing. Who could it be? No one comes by this late, especially not after everything that's happened. Her eyes dart to the letter on the table, and she feels a wave of unease settle over her. The knock comes again, louder this time, demanding attention. She takes a step forward but hesitates. Should she open it? She doesn't know if she's ready for whatever's on the other side. The weight of the letter in her hand seems to draw her closer to the door, a compulsion she can't explain. She reaches for the doorknob, her fingers brushing the cold metal. "Who are you?" she asks quietly, more to herself than to whoever is outside. As she opens the door, a figure steps into the dim light of the hallway. Their face is hidden in shadow, and for a moment she can't tell who it is. But the feeling that she knows this person, perhaps from her past, creeps up her spine. "I'm here to help," the voice says, low and calm. but she isn't sure she can trust anyone anymore. The figure steps into the room, and the woman's breath catches in her throat. The man standing in front of her is someone she never thought she'd see again. Someone from her past. Her mind races, trying to place him. You can't be here," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. The man's eyes lock onto hers, and for a moment, it feels as though time has stopped. "I never thought I'd see you again either," he says, his voice low and laced with regret. "But I had to. You're in danger, and this letter, it's part of something much bigger than you know." The woman stares at him, her mind reeling. She wants to trust him, but something deep inside warns her not to. "Who are you really?" she asks, her voice trembling. The man steps forward, his expression hardening. "Someone who knows what's coming," he says, "and someone who's been trying to stop it." But she can't shake the feeling that he's not telling her everything. The woman sits at her kitchen table, staring at the letter once more, as if searching for answers that refuse to be found. Her fingers trace the edges of the paper. Her mind races, her heart pounding in her chest. "I thought I could trust people," she mutters under her breath, her eyes flicking from the letter to the darkened corners of the room. She remembers the figure at her door, the man who claimed to know her future, who insisted she was in danger. His words echo in her mind, "You're not who you think you are." The more she thinks about it, the more the pieces don't fit. She's been lied to. The truth about her life, about the people she's known, is being twisted, and she doesn't know who to trust anymore. She takes a deep breath and looks at the clock. The ticking fills the room, steady, relentless, as though time itself is mocking her helplessness. "I need to know what's going on," she whispers, her resolve hardening. She cannot remain in the dark any longer. The man had a purpose for appearing in her life, and she would find out what that purpose was, no matter what it cost. The letter isn't just a warning, it's the key to everything. But will she be able to unlock the truth before it's too late? The sound of a doorbell startles her, pulling her from her thoughts. Her heart skips a beat, and for a moment she freezes, not sure whether to answer. She glances at the letter again, the weight of the unknown pressing down on her. Who could it be? She wonders aloud. But no answer comes. She walks cautiously toward the door, her footsteps heavy, as if each one brings her closer to something she doesn't want to face. When she opens the door, there is no one there, only a small envelope resting on the doorstep. Her pulse quickens as she bends down to pick it up, her mind racing. She hesitates before opening it. The feeling of being watched intensifies, and she looks over her shoulder, expecting someone to be lurking in the shadows. With trembling hands, she tears open the envelope and pulls out a photograph. It's a picture of her, but she doesn't recognize the background. The setting is unfamiliar, and there's something haunting about the smile she's wearing. But it's not just the photo that disturbs her, it's the note written on the back. You can't run from your past. Her breath catches. This is no coincidence. She's being hunted, and the truth is slipping further out of her grasp. The photograph in her hand trembles, and she feels a cold sweat breaking out across her forehead. She slams the door shut behind her, her heart racing. Her thoughts swirl in a vortex of dread. The photograph, her smiling face, a face she doesn't remember, gnaws at her. How could anyone have taken this picture? And the note? What past is it referring to? She sits down on her couch, clutching the picture and letter in her hands, as if they're the only thing keeping her tethered to reality. What am I missing? She whispers, her voice hollow. She flips the photograph over, running her fingers over the note, the words still sending a chill through her veins. You can't run from your past. Her breath comes in shallow gasps as she tries to understand what it means. There's only one person she can think of who might have answers, the man from the door. She has to find him. But as she gathers her thoughts, the realization hits her hard. He's been hiding something from her. She's not just a passive participant in this story, she's at the center of it. The truth is out there, but it feels as though the closer she gets, the more it slips from her grasp. She's losing control. She can feel it. Determined to find answers, the woman tracks down the man who left her the letter. His name is James, and he's been on the fringes of her life for years. He was an acquaintance, someone she never fully trusted. Now the pieces of their shared history come rushing back. She remembers the way he would show up at random times, never staying long, always slipping away before she could ask the right questions. But now those questions don't seem as important as the one burning in her chest. What does he know about her future? The address she finds on a scrap of paper leads her to an old rundown building at the edge of the city. As she walks up the stairs, she feels a sense of foreboding creeping over her. The building is eerily quiet, every step echoing through the hollow halls. She reaches the door to his apartment, her hand hovering over the doorknob. Should she knock? Should she just break the door down and demand the truth? Her heart pounds in her chest, and a sense of dread wraps around her. If he has the answers, he's not going to give them up easily, she says under her breath. But she can't turn back now. The door creaks open, and she steps inside. The apartment is dark, with only the faint light from the hallway casting weak beams across the room. James is sitting in the corner, his back to her, his face obscured by the shadows. He doesn't turn around when she enters, but his voice cuts through the stillness. "I knew you'd come," he says, his tone calm, almost too calm. "You've always been stubborn." The woman clenches her fists, her breath shallow. "Why didn't you tell me everything? Why didn't you warn me about the letter?" Her voice cracks with frustration. James finally turns around, his face half-shadowed, and he meets her gaze. "Because I didn't think you were ready to know," he replies, his voice tinged with regret. "But you are now." The letter wasn't a warning. It's a guide. The weight of his words crashes into her like a wave. A guide to what? To who she really is. To a future she has no control over. She feels her world beginning to unravel, and yet she knows she's not walking away from this. She needs the truth. "What have you done?" she whispers, her voice filled with both fear and anger. The woman stands frozen in James' apartment, her eyes locked on him as his words sink in. "A guide," she repeats, the phrase feeling foreign in her mouth. He nods slowly, his expression unreadable in the dim light. "Every decision you make from now on shapes what you'll find in that letter." Her grip tightens around the paper, the edges digging into her skin. "So you knew. You knew about all of this before I even saw it." James leans forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "I've known for years, but knowing is not the same as understanding." Her pulse races, heat rising in her cheeks. "You've been watching me, controlling what I see, what I know." His lips twitch, almost a smile, but not quite. "You needed to stay on the path." She takes a step back, her eyes darting toward the door. The air between them feels heavy, suffocating. "Why me?" she whispers. He shakes his head. "Because you're the only one left who can finish this." A cold shiver runs down her spine. She doesn't know if she believes him, but she can't ignore the way his words cling to her like a warning she wishes she could unhear. She paces the length of the small room, her thoughts spiraling. "You're not telling me everything," she says, her voice shaking but determined. James exhales, his eyes tracking her movements. "Because if I did, you'd never follow through." Her gaze snaps to him, disbelief and anger mingling in her expression. "Follow through with what?" He leans back, folding his arms. "The truth isn't just about your future, it's about the past they stole from you." Her heart skips, the idea landing with the weight of a punch. "What do you mean they?" James hesitates, then glances toward the letter. "You were never supposed to remember, but pieces always find their way back." She feels a chill settle in her bones, the room seeming smaller, the walls closer. "Who am I to them?" she demands. James meets her stare, his tone grim. "You're the one they've been trying to erase." The words strike deep, sending her mind into chaos. She doesn't know who they are, but she knows she's been living in a shadow of herself all along. Her voice trembles, but her resolve sharpens. "If they've been trying to erase me, then they failed." James tilts his head, a faint smirk appearing. "That's why you're still here." She takes a seat opposite him, leaning forward. "Then tell me the whole truth." He sighs, rubbing the bridge of his nose. It's not that simple. The letter is the last piece in a game that's been going on for decades. She studies his face, looking for any flicker of deceit. You make it sound like I'm part of something I never agreed to. James meets her gaze, his voice steady. You were chosen before you were even born. Her stomach knots, the thought too massive to fully grasp. She whispers, chosen for what? He hesitates, his eyes darkening. To finish what your mother started. The name alone pulls at memories she can't quite place, images of a woman's face, blurry but filled with warmth. She's alive. The question hangs between them. James doesn't answer, but his silence is enough to set her heart pounding. She grips the letter like it's the only anchor she has left. If my mother is alive, I need to see her. James shakes his head slowly. Not yet. She's the reason they're after you. Her mind races, confusion and anger battling for dominance. You think you can keep me away from her? After everything? He stands now, his presence imposing in the confined space. If you see her too soon, it'll undo everything. The letter's instructions matter. She takes a step toward him, her fists tight at her sides. I'm done letting other people decide what I'm ready for. His jaw tightens. This isn't about readiness, it's about survival. The air between them hums with tension, their eyes locked in silent defiance. She doesn't trust him, but the fear in his voice is real. In that moment, she knows she has to decide. Follow the letter, or follow her heart. Either way, the truth will destroy something. The choice crystallizes in her mind. She turns away from James, tucking the letter inside her coat. If you won't take me to her, I'll find her myself. He exhales sharply, the sound more like frustration than defeat. If you walk out now, you'll be walking into their hands. She pauses at the door, her hand on the knob. Maybe that's where I need to be. His voice follows her, low and urgent. Then remember this, you can't trust anyone, not even me. She glances back, her eyes narrowed. That's the first thing you've said that I already knew. Without another word, she steps into the hallway, the door closing softly behind her. The silence afterward feels like the closing of a chapter. But the weight in her chest tells her it's only the beginning of something far more dangerous. The woman's boots echo sharply against the concrete floor as she enters the abandoned warehouse James had warned her about. The air smells of rust and damp wood, the silence broken only by her footsteps. She clutches the letter inside her coat, feeling the edges crinkle with every movement. If she's here, I'll find her, she mutters. Shadows stretch across the floor from the faint moonlight, streaming through broken windows. Suddenly, a voice slices through the dark. You're late. She spins to see a tall man in a black coat, his face half lit, revealing a scar down his cheek. Where is she? She demands, her voice steady despite the fear crawling under her skin. He steps forward, slow and deliberate. First, you'll give me the letter. Her pulse quickens, but she tightens her grip. Not until I see her. The man smirks. Then you may never see her at all. The tension coils between them like a wire pulled taut, ready to snap. Her hand dips into her coat pocket, fingertips brushing the brittle paper. If you want it, you'll have to take it from me. The man's smirk widens, his boots scraping the floor as he steps closer. The faint clink of metal echoes. He's armed. She forces herself not to look away. You have no idea what that letter means, he says, his voice low, almost coaxing. It's not just your future, it's everyone's. She swallows hard, her mind racing. Then all the more reason I can't give it to you. His eyes narrow, the threat clear. You think you can protect it? Protect her? You're already too late. The words cut deeper than she expects, and for a heartbeat, doubt clouds her resolve. But she steadies her breath. Then I'll make up for lost time. Without warning, the man lunges forward, and she steps back, pulling the letter free. The paper feels like it's burning in her hands. He stops short, eyes fixed on it, as though it holds more power than either of them. You have no idea what you're holding, he growls. She tightens her grip, knuckles white. Then tell me. His jaw tightens. It's not meant to be read, it's meant to be obeyed. Her chest rises and falls sharply. Not anymore. The man reaches for it, but she twists away, her voice fierce. This is my life, my choice. For a moment, neither moves, the air thick with the weight of the moment. The sound of a distant door slamming echoes through the space, and both glance toward the noise. Somewhere in the darkness, someone else is here. A figure emerges from the shadows. James. His presence is a jolt, the familiar and the dangerous colliding. Step away from her, James orders, his voice steel. The scarred man chuckles but doesn't move. You're too late, old friend. The word friend hangs heavy, a reminder of a history she doesn't know. We had a deal, James says, taking a step closer. You broke it, the man replies, eyes still on the letter. She looks between them, her pulse racing. Someone tell me what's going on. Neither answers her. The tension rises until it's almost unbearable, the warehouse silent, except for the sound of her own breathing. The man's eyes flick to James, and for a split second, she knows something is about to happen. The scarred man moves first, a blur in the dim light. James shouts her name, but she's already reacting, clutching the letter and diving to the side. She hits the ground hard, the paper slipping from her grasp and fluttering across the floor. Both men lunge for it, their boots pounding the concrete. Her vision blurs from the impact, but she forces herself to crawl toward it. The letter lands under a beam of moonlight, stark against the grime. Her fingers brush the edge just as James' hand closes over it too. Their eyes meet, a silent battle raging between trust and betrayal. Let go, James says, his voice low and urgent. Not until I know everything, she replies, her tone unyielding. The scarred man looms closer, and the choice between truth and survival becomes razor thin. The three of them freeze in the moonlit warehouse, the letter still clenched between her and James. The scarred man's shadow looms larger as he advances. It ends tonight, he growls. Her chest tightens, but she refuses to let go. James leans in, his voice low. If you want the truth, you have to trust me now. She meets his gaze, torn between anger and desperation. The paper crinkles under their shared grip, the sound deafening in the still air. No, she says firmly. The truth belongs to me. James' eyes harden, but he nods once. Then be ready to face all of it. The scarred man lunges, and instinct takes over. She rips the letter from James' grasp and bolts for the far exit. Her boots pound against the floor, the air cold and sharp in her lungs. Behind her, the sound of pursuit grows louder, echoing through the cavernous space. She bursts into the alley behind the warehouse, the night air biting against her skin. The city is silent except for the distant hum of traffic. Her hands shake as she unfolds the letter, her eyes darting over the words, for something, anything, that makes sense. The paper smells faintly of smoke and old ink, the handwriting undoubtedly her own. But the words, they're instructions. Not a warning, not a threat, steps to follow. Her pulse quickens as she reaches the last line. You must destroy this after reading. She swallows hard, the weight of the choice pressing into her chest. Behind her, footsteps approach fast, too fast. She shoves the letter back into her coat and sprints down the alley, her breath loud in the narrow space. Turning a corner, she nearly collides with a figure stepping out from the shadows. Her breath catches. It's a woman, older, with familiar eyes. Mom? The word escapes before she can stop it. The woman smiles faintly, though it doesn't reach her eyes. You found me. Tears blur her vision, but instinct warns her this reunion isn't safe. They told me you were dead, she whispers. Her mother glances past her, toward the alley's end. We don't have much time. Every muscle in her body tightens. Then tell me the truth, she demands. Her mother steps closer, lowering her voice. The letter isn't just about you. It's about all of us. Before she can respond, a sharp sound rings out behind them, and her mother's expression shifts to fear. Her mother grips her arm hard. We have to go now. They dart down a side street, the pounding of boots echoing behind them. The letter feels like a burning coal in her pocket. "Why me?" she shouts over the noise. Her mother doesn't slow. "Because you're the only one who can finish what I started." The words slice through the chaos, but there's no time to ask more. They skid into an abandoned courtyard, moonlight spilling over cracked stone and weeds. The pursuit is closing in. Her mother turns to her, eyes fierce. "When this ends, there will be no going back. Do you understand?" She nods, breathless, even as fear claws at her. The truth is within reach, but so is the end. They reach a crumbling wall at the far end of the courtyard. Her mother presses something small and cold into her palm. A silver key. "This opens the place where it all began," she says urgently. The letter's final words burn in her mind. "Destroy this after reading." She looks at her mother. "If I follow this, what happens to you?" Her mother smiles sadly. "That's not for you to decide." Footsteps thunder closer. With a final glance, her mother shoves her toward a hidden gate in the wall. She stumbles through, clutching the key and the letter. As the gate swings shut, she hears her mother's voice one last time. "Don't waste the time you have left." The click of the lock seals her in the darkness beyond. The darkness beyond the gate is suffocating, but she forces herself forward, one hand gripping the cold silver key. The letter rustles inside her coat with every step. Faint moonlight filters through the cracks in the crumbling passage, painting the stone in streaks of silver. Her breath sounds loud in the stillness. She keeps replaying her mother's last words, "Don't waste the time you have left." The air smells of damp earth and dust, every step stirring ancient echoes. At the far end, a door waits, old and warped, with a lock that looks untouched for decades. She presses the key into it, her hand trembling. For a moment, she hesitates. Beyond this lies the truth, and perhaps the end of everything she's known. With a deep breath, she turns the key. The lock clicks, and the door swings inward with a groan. A rush of cold air sweeps over her, carrying the scent of paper and time. She steps into a vast, dimly lit chamber lined with shelves, each crammed with letters identical to hers. Her chest tightens, hundreds, maybe thousands of them. Every envelope bears a name, some crossed out in red ink. She runs her fingers along the nearest shelf until they stop on one bearing her own name. It's dated 10 years from now, just like the one in her coat. A chill snakes up her spine. She realizes she's not the only one who's been warned or guided. The chamber feels alive, the silence pressing in. She whispers, "How many of us are there?" Footsteps echo behind her, slow and deliberate. She spins, her heart pounding to see James framed in the doorway. His face is pale, his eyes fixed on the shelves. "You weren't supposed to find this," he says, voice low. She takes a step back, gripping the letter in her pocket. "You lied to me. This was never about me. It's about all of them." He walks forward, the dim light catching the sharp lines of his expression. "If you open the wrong one, you'll change everything." Her breath quickens. "Then maybe that's exactly what I need to do." The air feels charged, as if the walls themselves are waiting for her choice. Her fingers close around the envelope, bearing her name. James' voice hardens. "Think about what you're doing." She meets his gaze, her jaw set. "I've been thinking about it since the moment I saw the first one." The paper is brittle under her grip as she breaks the seal. The sound is deafening in the silence. Inside, the handwriting is hers, but the words feel foreign. They detail choices she hasn't made yet, betrayals she hasn't committed. At the bottom, a single line chills her to the bone. "When the time comes, trust no one, not even the one who saves you." She looks up at James, her heart sinking. "It was you." She takes a step back, the letter falling from her hands to the dusty floor. James moves toward her, but she raises a hand, her voice trembling yet firm. "Stay away from me." Somewhere in the distance, a deep rumble shakes the chamber, dust raining from the ceiling. She realizes her time is up. Scooping the letter from the ground, she turns and runs toward the far exit, shelves blurring in her peripheral vision. Behind her, James calls her name, his voice echoing off stone. She doesn't look back. The passage narrows, the light ahead growing brighter. She bursts into the open air, the cold night wrapping around her. In her hand the letter is warm, almost alive. And in the silence she hears her mother's voice, faint but clear. Now you know.